Yeah, so he is negative.
So he's negative.
Yes, he is negative.
We think.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Oh, that's hilarious. In some regards, there's like so much uncertainty to the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, I hear that here in Florida, they are inflating the numbers artificially because there's financial reward for doing stuff like that. You know.
Yeah.
So who the heck knows? Anyhow, we're good. Right, so let me do the intro so that I don't mess this up completely. All right, hello everyone. This is Dwight Woods, Jeet Kune Do Rebel, and welcome to today's episode 138 of the Jeet Kune Do Dialogues. As you're logging in, if you'd be kind enough to say where you're logging in from, hit the like button, and feel free to continue doing so throughout the dialogue. If you're catching the final edit video replay over on the YouTube, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. If you'd like to support the program, check out our offerings at jkdrebel.com. Click on the Rebel Gear link. But of course, the best thing you can do is to share this video and spread the word about the Jeet Kune Do Dialogues. So astute observers of the postcards that I put up for these programs would have noticed that I usually say, you know, I'm going to be on with so-and-so person of so-and-so school. They'd notice that today I just use your names because I don't know what to call this new setup, which you are going to explain to us right now. So Shawn Sutton, Shawn and Jon Meyer. Is it Meyer or Mayer?
Meyer.
Okay, Shawn and Jon Meyer, welcome to the Jeet Kune Do Dialogues.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So, all right, would it have been correct for me if I'd taken the chance to put on the postcard and say Shawn Sutton of JKD Unlimited Cincinnati, and then Shawn and Jon Meyer of Meyer's Martial Arts, or Shawn Sutton, Shawn and Jon Meyer of Premier Martial Arts? Would any of those have been correct?
All of those would have been correct. Yeah.
Okay. So how are people going to find you then?
Well, hopefully, you know, one of the things is, you know, we have our own students. And what we're trying to do, so we're out at Premier Shooting and Training Center, as we talked about last time I was on.
Right.
And now Shawn and Jon are with us as well, which is a great thing. I'm glad we came together. So we have our own students, and we have one single membership here at Premier. So they can find us through Premier, they can find us through Meyer Martial Arts, or they can find us through JKD Unlimited Cincinnati. And then they get to train, pretty much built-in cross-training, but we're all one team, if that makes sense.
Okay, well, I have a slow brain, so it's going to take me a while to wrap myself around this. So tell me this, what are the similarities? No, wait, let me do this correctly. Let's backtrack. My business mentor always said, never go into partnership with someone who doesn't have a proven track record. So I already know the answer to this question, okay? But you tell everybody else why this is a good idea for the three of you.
You guys want to take that?
Yeah, I don't mind. Well, I think it's something that's very unique in the sense that you have two different JKD affiliates that are coming together, you know, and I don't know anywhere else that has occurred. You know, so as students come into the program, you know, we can tell them, hey, you can take Meyer Martial Arts, you can get certification in these ranks, such as John Jack Machado Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Savannah, Professor Slim Osley, in our JKD program, and our Filipino martial arts, we have a progression also. And then in part of that also, they can take Sifu Sutton's classes and also get Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for the streets and the JKD for the streets that he offers through Burton Richardson, you know. The biggest thing is that we're all from the same family, JKD family, you know, but I think it's kind of like blood types. They don't all fit together, and it's a rarity unless you're a type O that you don't fit with everyone else. So I think it's unique for us in the sense that we're kind of that type O, which is difficult sometimes to find, and we just marry together really nice. I think that takes a certain character, it takes a certain mentality, it takes a certain attitude for you to have to bring us together and to be humble to work together. Because as you know, Guru Asano, what does he expect of us? Don't talk ill of other schools, other arts. You know, you can go down the list, and we want to not only preach that, but also show that. And by us doing that, how much more could you show it other than that, than us coming together? You know, there is no walls.
Right.
I think he nailed that. By the way, that was
you
great.
Think? You think? Let's see if his brother can add anything to it.
No, I agree with John. You know, it's something cool because when we first met, I don't know how many months ago it is now, 3 months ago, whatever, we started talking.
Hang on a second. Hang on a second.
Yes.
Are you Mike Pence?
Mike Pence? I don't.
The Vice President of the United States.
Yes.
From where I'm sitting, he looks just like Mike Pence.
Oh, I don't see it. Maybe it's the lighting.
Must be the lighting.
It must be. Okay. All right. So now, having tried to derail this entire conversation, go right ahead.
So, you know, Shawn approached us a couple months ago and we started talking about coming together. He knew that we were looking for a facility and we want to keep the arts that we've learned from our instructors going. Just didn't want to let that die off. You know, the job you have as an instructor is to share what you've learned. And John and I have been doing this for 27 years and we wanted to continue that. We didn't want to die and go away and just move on with their lives. We feel we have something owed to our instructors to carry on what they've given us. So it was a no-brainer for us to start a facility, and then Shawn approached us, and Shawn's a very good man, very humble, and this is going to be easy. We kind of was love at first sight. There was no problem. It was hashing out the details. You know, the situation of what we had was the difficulty wasn't coming to terms on what we want to do as martial artists. It was more figuring out how to explain to people how you could bring two different groups of people together. Mm-hmm. And most people don't understand that. Most people get a school and they start their own school, and that's fantastic. What we decided to do is take a Bert Richardson instructor, two Guru Asano instructors, and go, man, we can put that under one building and give all these people this for one price.
Right.
Supply them with this, and that's what we're doing. And it's been easy.
Yeah.
It
so
really
how long? Yeah. How long have you been in action?
5 weeks.
Okay. Okay. All right. So let me ask you this then. In coming together, what were three things? What were the similarities that you discovered? What were the differences? And then what were the commonalities? Does that make sense? Similarities, differences, but then commonalities.
I'll start with commonalities.
Okay.
Commonality, because they're the easier to figure out, is our mindset. I mean, each of us and all of our students and any instructors that we have in our different programs, we have a mindset like the JKD mindset. So where we're, doing the old adage of, researching your own experience, absorbing what's useful, discarding what isn't, and adding what's uniquely our own. And all three of us preach that. And I think that's why it was so easy for us to come together, because we all knew that that's how it was. Like, I also train in Muay Thai. They're both silver gloves in Savate,
right.
And these are, you get these certifications because you are willing to branch out from what the core art is, the core curriculum, and go into this other curriculum so you can enhance what you're teaching. Yeah. And I think that's the most common thing. You guys agree?
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah.
Okay. So then I mean, I know the answers to this question too, I think, but what were the similarities then between, in what you were doing?
I think the similarities, I'll address that. And we all have a common objective, to provide a good product to the public. And I love quoting Guru on many things that he says, and one of them being, I would rather have one good instructor than 10 good fighters, because the good instructor does what? He gives back to the community. That being said, I think we have three good instructors here, and that similarity holds true. what Sifu Sutton offers, my brother Shawn offers, and myself. Although we may explain things differently in class because we're individuals in Jeet Kune Do, the similarity is the product that we want to give to the people, or those attributes we want to give to the people, the life skills we want to give to the people to help make them better, to make society and the community better.
Yeah. One difference that I was aware of was the Savat element that Shawn, you just mentioned, right? So have you done any Savat with these two monsters?
A long time ago, not in a while.
Yeah, we met some years ago, just as a backstory.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. Okay, so let's do this. Messrs. Myers, do you have any idea where and when it was that we met?
Ooh.
Met you, Dwight? I'm sorry?
Yeah.
Actually, I think the first time I can say that you and I made contact was one of Guru Asano's birthday books you did for him. I think it was his 70th.
That was it. Yeah, that would have been his 70th.
You had delivered that to him, to the Asano Academy.
Right.
Right. And so that was one of the first times that I know that we had come in contact, and I had seen you out there in Asano Academy before in the past. So a little bit of that. I don't know about you guys, but
I am sure we did a seminar somewhere.
And there is a chance of that, that's somewhere at a seminar. I mean, we're not traveling as much as we used to, but 90s and stuff like that, early 2000s. Right. So there is a good chance that we ran across each other at that point too. And Charles Reed, that's who we started under.
Right.
Was Charles Reed in 1993.
Yeah.
So we had that connection between you and.
Yeah. See, and that's what I'm thinking, because does he still work for Delta Airlines?
He does not. It was actually at one point it was Comair, and he went to the martial arts game full time, then pulled himself away and was also working another job at one point.
Right. And
since then, now he's retired, and that was kind of a little bit of a reason why we opened up or wanted to open up a facility, and that started pre-COVID. We were looking at buildings and things like that, meeting with Charles, seeing what's going on in the future of the Reed Academy. And at one point, he just chose that, he's going to retire, and he actually moved to Las Vegas.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah, his wife got a job in Las Vegas, and he moved out there. So
nice.
Just spoke to him about a week ago. He's doing great. But I think Shawn touched on it. Shawn, my brother. Anytime we have conversations, Sutton Shawn, because both of them are Shawn.
Yeah. Well, hey, next time you speak to Mr. Reed, give him my regards, please.
Yeah, I will, definitely. We definitely keep in contact, and that's something that will never change. There's no bad blood or ill thoughts or anything like that. Right. He was very supportive of this. We just want to keep that lineage in Southwest Ohio. We felt the need to do that.
Yeah. And he brought Sifu and Asano out over every year over a long period, right?
It's like 1995, 94,
I think.
Yeah.
94, 95, yeah.
Okay. So Sutton, Shawn, did you go to any of those in Asano seminars?
Yeah, that's actually where we met. I trained under Sifu Reed as well.
Okay. I forgot that. All right. I see. Yeah. So it is a family reunion.
It is.
Okay. Do you guys have the problem that I'm having with politics in the family?
There's no way that could happen in my
life.
No. Yeah, politics.
Well, I'll tell you, on our end personally, we're good to go. I mean, we never have a problem. There's never any issues, and
I should not have sat in front. That's my fault. That's on me, actually.
I just gave him bunny ears, but we don't have any issues at all. Anything. We're always working how to move forward. We have the same commonality to succeed. And, our goal is to help people succeed, and we all feel the same way. And that's where stuff really came together very simply,
Right. Yeah. What I'm impressed by is I think that's the second or third time that one of you has mentioned being in service or of service to people. Yeah. And what I love about that is that if that's your focus, you you don't really have time for all of the nonsense that's going on in the martial arts world, do you?
No.
Right. Yeah.
No, we
So-
know where we want to be.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I just saw, I mean, like literally minutes before we came on here, somebody else complaining about all the BS in Jeet Kune Do, and how, you know, he's ready to give it up and what have you. And I'm just thinking, how could I give up what's one of the most important things in my life?
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So what, how do you guys deal with it? Because as much as we might try to ignore it, you can't, because you're involved in it. So some aspect of it is going to trickle down. So how do you deal with let's call it the controversies?
I'll start, and I'll make it even broader than Jeet Kune Do. There's a lot of this going around where people are unhappy with the situation they find themselves in or how they define something. So I'm going real high level now, but they forget that their contribution and their action can affect and change, and you're going to get in or get out of something what you're going to put into it, especially something like JKD, which is, you know, this beautiful philosophy. It's a martial art, of course, but it's also a beautiful philosophy. And it's a philosophy of constant improvement, of having a growth mindset. So if you're unhappy with JKD, what I think you're actually saying is you're unhappy with your own personal growth. And, you know, the buck stops with you.
Right.
But that's my thought.
Absolutely. And how, you know, the way I see it is over all these years, you do see a lot of politics that can happen, whether it's people that come on your mat or people you talk to outside of school. But I keep it pretty simple, and these guys will agree that if someone comes on our mat, you know, this is our standard of doing things, how we operate. And if you don't agree with it, well, you're welcome to find a place that will agree with the way you think. But you know, and this is the way we do things. You know, our thought is that we are working hard to provide quality for our students. And, you know, I don't see many martial arts being millionaires from doing it. So it's more than about making money. We want to create successful people. So when people step on our mats, we're willing to work with people and go, here's our material, but our job is to be the encyclopedia and the dictionary for you. And we would take that information in our brain and make it fit to the individual. It's not like, here's the material, good luck fitting to it. We take the material and make it fit to the individual, which is much more work to do because you have to be there all the time to analyze your students and see what works for them as individuals. And we find value in that for ourselves, and we found value in that for our students to take care of people on an individual basis. And that, I think that helps a little bit, you know, in that way of personal perception of what JKD is to this individual and that individual. And there's a certain point where if it's not working out, we'll just be like, bye-bye, we'll call it quits. You know, you have to train somewhere else.
Right.
Yeah, and it kind of goes just opposite of the politic portion of it. You know, one thing I would always tell people when they come to the academy to check us out is, as much as you're evaluating us, we are evaluating you. But that evaluation just continues. You know,
Right.
You got to have good people on the mat. It's just not about taking money from someone. You know.
Yeah. So you know, another thing that I find interesting about your dynamic is that Shawn, you're on the receiving end of one of Sifu Asano's top people, right? And then Messrs. Meyer are also on the receiving end of one of Sifu Dan's top people, but they have more direct. No, what you trained at Reed's also. See, I told you it was going to take a while for me to wrap my brain around this, but I'm okay. Do the Myers boys have more Inasano influence than you do, Sutton, Shawn?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, and I'd like to hear what other people think. But I'd say, you know, they definitely have trained with Guru Asano way more than I have, like way more. And the curriculum that Guru Burton Richardson has put out, a lot of it has a huge influence from Guru Dan, of course. I mean, he thanks him in every video. He points out things where, he's teaching directly from the Asano system. So I have a lot of exposure to that, but I think it's through another lens, if that makes sense. I would say they have more exposure because of more time training in the specific Asano system. It took me a minute to remember the Asano numbering system, because our numbering system is different in Battlefield Kali. So I'll be the first to admit that. It took me a second. I'm like, oh man, what comes after 5? Well, 6. That's right. Yeah,
it would have been interesting to see that, because I know, because I was happy to find a picture of the 3 of you with all the banners. So I was like, oh yeah, thank God. I was like, they gave me the perfect picture to put in the middle of the postcard, right? And I noticed that everybody was holding a weapon, so I thought that was kind of interesting. So now somebody who sees this, right? Because billions of people will watch this video, right? So somebody who sees this and gets in touch through any of the methods, walk me through the procedure. Who engages them first, and how are they guided to make an ultimate decision?
So Premier has a sales staff. They have membership specialists that work. So if they call in, they'll talk to one of our membership.
Hey, can you raise your volume a little bit?
Yeah. How's that? Better?
That's a little bit better. Yeah.
I'll talk directly at the mic. How about that?
Yeah, we might have to pull a Rogan, where he tells people to get closer to the mic.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
How's this? Is this too much? Or
no? That's good.
That's pretty good. So we have membership specialists. So if they call in, they're going to talk to membership specialists. At that point, they're going to come in, and as most martial arts schools have, they're going to come in for like a complimentary class or a free class to evaluate. And then once they come in, then they're just they're interfacing with the instructor on the mat. So if they came for like a JKD Unlimited class, then it'll be me. And if they come for a Meyer martial arts class, it'll be one of them. Or if we happen to be at each other's classes, maybe it would be different. Maybe one of us would keep teaching and the other one would go off to the side. Which I think we've done. At least I think I've taken a couple to the side before.
Okay.
Yeah. So. It works the same as if we were just all the same school, because we really are. It's just we have 2 distinct curriculum, or curriculi, I guess.
Curricula.
Curricula. Thank you.
Yeah, I know. You're an American. Okay, so now, all right. So those 2 guys. Mm-hmm. Handsome guys, by the way, right? Or Machado Jiu-Jitsu black belts.
Yes.
Okay. Now, Sutton Shawn, you train in BJJ for the streets.
That's
Is
correct.
there a black belt ranking in that?
There is, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for the street is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It's just when we do our evaluations, we also require rolling with strikes with helmets and gloves and weapons coming out. And that's part of the evaluation process.
Okay. So now, you guys were aware of that, weren't you?
Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. But that's not the same as in John Jack Machado Jiu-Jitsu training, is it?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if we do a John Jack Machado Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu class, we don't limit ourselves necessarily to John Jack Machado Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. For example, when I taught Monday night, I can't help but add some C-Lot. And guys, but it fits and it all connects,
Yeah.
Because my influence before Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and Shawn's likewise, was more the shoot wrestling, that aspect. So it's hard not to want to add those things because you see the path or you see where it goes. John Jack Machado, that man is just amazing. I can't say enough good about him. Great material, and we continue to push that to the students. But as JKD instructors, you kind of blend as well also, and that's okay. In our JKD classes, as far as that's concerned, we may not be using knives or guns or something like that on the ground necessarily in the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu that's in relation to John Jack Machado. But in the JKD classes, that's absolutely applicable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because you have some students, it depends on what the students are looking for. Like we want to suit needs.
Right.
And we have a straight Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu class with Master Machado's material. And then in JKD, we mix it up. And like John said, sometimes when you're in the class, you can't help the JKD mindset coming out of seeing the connections.
Yeah.
And, that's what's nice about a combination of what all three of us teach. We all teach a little bit differently. We have different material and we bring it together. These students have all these routes and options to pick from. And yes, is it important to grapple with a knife? Absolutely. Understand a gun? Absolutely. Is it good to know Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? Yes. Boxing? Yes. Savate? Yes. Muay Thai? Yes. Those are all important. Mm-hmm. And our job is to help people see the connection of those. And sometimes, it comes out in our John Jack Machado classes. So
right. So if I come in and I say, man, I love everything that I'm hearing, I want to train in everything. How do you set that up for me?
They sign up for one membership, and it's all of it. They get everything for one membership.
It's awesome.
Oh.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. I tried to sign up, and I realized,
Okay. So now, but do I end up getting confused?
I don't think so.
No.
No one's gotten confused yet.
I think initially, those who understand Jeet Kune Do, or they were maybe prior students, they understand a little bit better. But someone, even the confusion at first, where you were trying to piece this together, different affiliates in one location. For people who've never been in martial arts before, it may present some confusion, but I think with a simple conversation, that gets clarified very quickly.
Okay. Give me an example of what that conversation might be like.
Okay. Well, we're in Premier. This is a shooting range. And when someone walks to the door, shooting range is to the left, martial arts side is to the right. And those people, when they come in, they have the ability to watch a class, try on a class, and then we can just explain the different types of programs that we have in the classes that they can take, and then they can kind of pick. Because even for some of our students, some people may come in and they may just sign up for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. They may just sign up for the JKD program. There may be some people that come in and they want to sign up for Sifu Sutton's classes, and they're not interested in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. They want the battlefield for the Kali. So I think if you break it down just in blocks and put those blocks in front of someone and realize that they can have them all, or they can kind of pick what they want, like a cafeteria, I think that's a good way to explain it to that person,
Well, that cafeteria analogy is something that Sifu Nasano uses all the time, right?
Yeah, it is. Yes, it is.
The buffet.
The buffet.
Yeah.
Well, and I learned that from Sifu Charles Reed when I first started. My journey in martial arts was in 1993. I was in a chemistry class in high school, and someone had this simple business card with all these arts on it. I'm like, what is all this stuff? All I knew is there was a kickboxing gym down the road, and I wanted to fight. But I remember taking my first class at the Reed Academy with Sifu Charles Reed, and I wasn't driving at the time. I think even he drove me home. There were times that he would take me to class and drive me home. He's like a father to me. And I remember him saying, John, I get that you want to take all these things or take kickboxing, but we offer all these different things. And it's like eating a full course meal with just a fork. And I remember that to this day. That was over 20 years ago,
Did you go home and tell your brother, you got to come with me?
No, you know what happened with that? Honestly, we're both in high school, and he comes home, and Dwight, I don't know if you remember first jiu-jitsu lock flow with the wrist locks, the wrist locks, come along, torture, all that. And this kid comes home doing this on me and bending my wrist and putting me in pain. I'm going up with my toes. I'm like, there's no way this guy is going to do this to me. I'm going to class.
Now I want to add to that. I remember his first class, And I tell the story still to this day. You know, being my brother, and there was times I used to just slap him and pick fights. But we were doing junk fine boxing, holding focus gloves, and he was holding up for the jab cross. We would do it with a single mitt. I'm like, you jab cross on this pad, you jab on this one, because if you jab cross on this pad and you slip, that action is going towards my face. You got it, Shawn? Yeah. I held up the pad. He went 1-2 on the wrong pad, and boom. That was the first class he took. Punched me the first day.
That's probably one of my favorite classes.
Sutton Shawn, refresh my memory of your start in martial art.
My start in martial arts was actually Taekwondo when I was in actually it was wrestling. Actually, I'll just be the first to say wrestling's a martial art. It was wrestling first. But I'll say the first time I did JKD was at the Reed Academy. I went in on a Saturday morning, and there was an instructor there, and I can't recall which one, but I think it was Abe Kitchen, I believe.
Oh, Abe, yeah.
Yeah, I believe it was Abe. And the first class I did was Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, actually, not JKD, but I came there specifically for JKD. And he's like, get in my guard. And I was like, what's a guard? And then he told me to pass the guard. And I was like, I don't know what you're saying. And then he just kept tapping me out over and over again. Yeah, so that was my first JKD class.
Oh my God. Okay. All right. So, what about the? Because I just realized that I have not looked at my notes since we started talking. I spent like 2 hours yesterday trying coming up with questions for you guys. Okay. So I wanted to ask you this, right? Because JKD Unlimited has the BJJ component, the CLAP component, the MMA component, the Kali component, and like I said earlier, no Savat component. And Shawn, you mentioned Sutton Shawn, you mentioned the Muay Thai, but I can't remember if on the bio for Messrs. Meyer, if there was any Muay Thai. Is there?
For Meyer Martial Arts, our Muay Thai training was under our Jon through seminar, and then the influence by Guru Asano, and then also through Sifu Charles Reed.
Okay.
So because back in the day, our Jon would come in this area a couple times a year. He was in Kentucky at Scott Elliott's school, also up north at Jeff Brown's school. So there were two different locations that you could travel to at times to go see him. So my training under Arjan, a lot of it was, or if you went to the instructor camp in October.
Yeah.
Okay.
All
right. So I want to do sorry. I
was going to say the Muay Thai is there.
Yeah.
Whether we're doing catch drills on a Monday night or Thai pads, but the Savat, of course, and the Muay Thai. And for some people, it's difficult to separate the two.
Yeah.
Well, that actually is leading me down a path. But tell me what you mean by that. For some people, it's difficult to separate the Muay Thai and the Savat.
I think for the simplest way to put that would be, pick a student that's been doing both, and imagine a strict Muay Thai class, which you've had before in the past, a strict Savat class that we've had before in the past, and someone takes those two. Sometimes you have someone who gets in a Thai class and the range changes, right?
Mm-hmm.
What portion of the leg you make contact with changes.
Mm-hmm.
And not everybody, I think it's unique when you do have someone that can get into a Thai class and they look like Thai, can get into a Savat class from a technical aspect and look like Savat. I think for some people that's difficult to be able to do that. And what's really cool is someone who can kick the pads and they can incorporate both. You're like, oops, Savat Thai, Savat Thai, Savat Thai, and they can mix up the striking,
Right.
The street portion of Savat has elbows. It has headbutts. This is something that Professor Slim Osley preaches all the time. It is in there. Just ring rules are much different.
Yeah. Okay. So here's the devil's advocate section, right? First part. I hear you guys talking all these different names of different arts and what have you, but you're supposed to be a Jeet Kune Do group. So what's with all these different arts? How is that Jeet Kune Do?
Are you thinking 1990s or?
What time frame are we in?
Hey, just play along, okay? Right? Just play. Okay. Yeah, you know, those JKD guys, they won't know how to fight because they'll be confused over all this different stuff that they're doing.
Yeah,
you guys.
I'm sure we all have something to say about this, but the big thing is the JKD was set up to that. Not one art has all the answers. Like the Battlefield Collie shows that, and the JKD Unlimited shows that from Sifu, Burt, and Richardson. And grappling is great, man, but now a knife comes out. So you have to be aware of these things. And one thing that Guru Asano said that I think backs this up is you cannot always choose your arena. Mm-hmm. So you could be a knife fighter, but now you get grappled by a guy, or you're a grappler and you get taken down, and you take a guy down, think he's going to grapple, and he pulls a knife out. You can't always pick your arena you're in. So the JKD, we're doing exactly what we should do, and that is incorporating. Muay Thai is great, but it's a powerful kick, just like Savat's a powerful kick. But when you Muay Thai kick, you can be punched in the face. When you Savat kick, the idea is that when you throw that roundhouse, you're out of range of the punch. So having the mix of both those are good. I don't walk around barefooted, so I don't kick with my foot unless I have shoes on, and it all depends. Like Thai, they kick with the shin. It works well. They're barefooted. It does. But if I have shoes on, a good pair of boots on, there's nothing wrong with using that to my advantage. So we take the concepts and the idea of the arts, and just like you always hear, utilize what is useful, throw away what is useless. It's exactly what we're doing. Exactly what we were taught by Guru Dan and Asanto. And, I know this isn't it, but, Simo Paula helped bring a lot of people into this country to help teach martial arts. Yeah. And, and help that mix come together. And that's what JKD is. You have to be able to adapt to different situations. And the only way to adapt to, say, a stick fight or a knife fight or a boxing match is you have to train those areas. And then once you train those areas, have an understanding of how to just make them connect. It's like Wing Chun. There's things in Wing Chun that look like knife defense stuff. Knife defense stuff that looks like Wing Chun. Guru.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, I find myself, if I teach the dagger, I bring up Wing Chun terms.
Right. So that's interesting because I could never remember what Ajahn Chai teaches as clinch counters until I started using Wing Chun terms to identify them.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I was like, oh, well, yeah, that one he uses the bong sao, right? And I was like, I got it. Right? Yeah. But by itself, just trying to distract. So I get what you mean. Okay, Sutton, Shawn, you look like you have something to say.
Yeah, so I can talk about this from a JKD Unlimited perspective too. The main curriculum, or the first curriculum you're really introduced to in JKD Unlimited, is MMA for the Street, which is JKD Unlimited MMA for the Street. And in that, you learn a Thai kick, you learn a hook kick, which actually does, I should have said this before, there is Savat in JKD Unlimited. We just don't certify in it, not right. That I know of. I am a blue glove in Savat, but that is the first rank, so I probably shouldn't brag about that. I showed up to a couple classes. But we have it in there. But in MMA for the Street, there's not really a distinction made. It's after you're going through it, then you get expanded into, these are the different arts and understanding where it comes from. Like, I had already trained quite a bit, so I kind of knew where all the arts were being represented. But, like the Thai kick was, in the curriculum, there's a thing called the Thai kick. It's actually a roundhouse kick from Thai boxing. In Thai boxing, they're not going to call that a Thai kick, right? Because it's Thai boxing. They're going to call it a roundhouse kick, right? But we call it a Thai kick in order to kind of pay respects to that. And then it expands from there. And then you can correct me on this quote because you're way better at these quotes than I am. But I think Bruce Lee said, when you're learning how to punch, before you learn how to punch, it's just a punch. And while you're learning to throw a punch, it's way more than a punch. And then after you learn how to punch, it's just a punch again. Yeah. And that's kind of how I think about all of the styles. Like, when I went into Muay Thai, all of my sparring, my drilling, my hitting the pads, all of it, I was doing Thai boxing. My hands were up high guard, my 70-30, and I was moving this leg. I was checking kicks, bringing them up, all of it. That's not necessarily how I do my drills usually. That's actually, I have a lot more boxing influence when I personally express on the pads.
Mhm.
But for, I don't know, two or 3 years where I was going through seeking certification. I've done Muay Thai for a very long time, but seeking the certification to be an instructor, I really narrowed down, like Sifu John was saying, narrowed down on looking like a Thai boxer and doing it the Thai boxing style, because if I'm going to teach Thai boxing, I need to do it like a Thai boxer. And, in that moment, it was more than just a roundhouse kick. And then now it's a roundhouse kick again. I'll throw one with a, pointed shoe, or I'll throw a Thai kick with my shin on their leg,
Right.
and, it's like different tools for different jobs.
Yeah. Okay. So let's do this. Let's do that.
That's missing something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So who wants to go first?
John, do you want
Why do I have to go first? Well, let's see.
did you look at it yet? It's okay.
Yeah, there's no JKD.
Yeah.
Yeah, I recognize this from Facebook.
Right.
Yeah, but if I was going to pick 3, I'll play the game. I would pick Muay Thai. I would pick Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And Judo.
Okay.
Hmm.
All right. Now you have to explain your choices.
Sure. Well, Judo has the ground game. It has the stand-up also, and in Judo, some of the classes that I've taken in the past, there's some similarities on the ground as in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. But there's enough difference that I think the two together make something good. The Muay Thai, you have the clinch, you have the elbows, the knees, different aspects. So you have the stand-up portion of it. So you have that range of stand-up, the range of the kicking, the range of the punching. You have the ground portion, Judo, of course, amazing throws in Judo. So I think that's why I would pick those 3.
Okay.
I think John got surprised with the question there, so we'll give him a second on that. But the reality is you pick all of them plus JKD because that's what it is, But,
you see, your brother is the rule follower. You're the rule breaker. It says you can only learn 3.
That's pretty.
You've been talking to our mother.
Pretty accurate.
But yeah, people are leaving out. We talked about this a little bit. Shawn and I did, and John wasn't here yet. We discussed it, but it's really I don't know who did this. It's one perspective, but it's like, where's JKD on there? JKD is very practical, and Shawn's going to elaborate more on that when we were talking earlier. But there's no reason why it should not be up there, because I can tell you we have produced very successful people that could operate in different environments with no problem at all whatsoever.
Right.
So, but go get him, Shawn.
Yeah. So I think what's happening there, that is from an MMA organization, and I think what they're doing is they're coming from a lens of an MMA, through the lens of MMA, and sometimes unfortunately, I think JKD is getting left out because people aren't claiming JKD as their core style, maybe. Yeah. But we're forgetting that there's so many successful JKD fighters that were MMA fighters. If I have to look through that lens, and I'm not just talking about mine, but I am talking about mine. I'm also talking about theirs, Guru Burton trained Chris Lieben for years. Right. For years. I mean, that's a JKD fighter right there. So, right. And then to go even further into it, you have people like Ray Longo, who is a JKD instructor, and he is a very famous MMA fighter. He's coached massive amounts of UFC fighters. And you see the JKD influence in MMA, not just from the philosophy, from literally the moves they're using. John Jones uses a Jeet tech. He uses a dumb tech. He uses the bilgi to the eyes often. Yeah.
But, okay. But let's go back to what you said in the beginning, which was that something like nobody claims the Jeet Kune Do or nobody identifies as Jeet Kune Do. Why is that? Why do you think that is or was?
Man, I wish I knew that, and I don't know if that's the politics that we were talking about earlier. You know, like maybe because I think a lot of times in Jeet Kune Do we're very focused on the street. I mean, literally all my classes end with "for the street," right? So, you know, we're very focused on street self-defense, self-empowerment, that type of thing.
Unless you carry a mat with you.
Yes, that's right. Just throw it down. Do this. But I do always have a gi, though. Yeah, so I don't know why they're not doing it, but maybe what's happening is there's an unwillingness. Like maybe they have a Thai boxing coach and a jiu-jitsu coach and a JKD coach. And then the JKD coach is like, you know, well, I'm more interested in teaching my classes. This guy will go and coach you. And then that guy's mostly a Muay Thai person. So they're going to claim Muay Thai because the guy in the corner is a Muay Thai guy or a jiu-jitsu guy or whatever it is, wrestler, something like that. So we don't get the, I don't know. I'm interested to learn with a bunch of the camps that have a lot of JKD influence why they don't claim.
Yeah, I mean, because in the case of, let's say, a Ray Longo, right? If he's the coach, then I mean, I don't know. You guys know way more about the combat sport game than I do. But, you know, I don't understand it either. I don't have an answer. Right? I'm devil's advocating, but I don't have an answer either. If it had been up to me, if anybody had asked me at the outset, I'd be like, well, whatever it is that you do, make sure that you claim the JKD lineage.
You know, I don't know Ray Longo, by the way. I know he's out of Matt Serra's school, and I know he's a fantastic coach. I've watched a lot of his stuff. I don't know him personally, so I don't want to talk for him at all. So I'll kind of steer into maybe what's happening is, and then I'm going to say one more thing after this. Maybe what's happening is they're thinking JKD is for street self-defense, and what we do in the cage is not necessarily Jeet Kune Do. We're doing, you know, it has its influences, but we're doing Muay Thai and Jiu-Jitsu. We're doing wrestling. Maybe it's that.
Yeah.
But I also want to just say, I did this whole little thing with this is through the lens of MMA. MMA is a sport. It's a small section of the martial arts, you know? I mean, it's got a huge influence, and I practice it, I teach it, I coach it. But we don't have to look through that lens. Fighting isn't limited to a combat sport, one combat sport, right? So in my opinion, JKD is a fighting art, and it is mostly for self-defense, you know, and for, you know, what I would consider like true combat, where you're not sure, there's no ref, you know, that sort of thing. Now, I'm not saying that MMA is lesser. I'm saying it's a sport. There are a lot of MMA fighters that would just ring my bell for sure, for sure. Right. But I'm willing to expand the idea of what a martial art is, because martial means war. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's my 2 cents. Hope it didn't make anybody angry.
Well, no, I mean, I don't think you did. And like you, I wasn't there. I didn't dare attempt to speak for Ray Longo or speak for anybody else. I think what it is, Jeet Kune Do just takes too damn long to explain.
I guess.
That's pretty interesting.
It's different for everyone. You know, you go to a JKD school in Cincinnati, and then you go to a JKD school in Nevada, you know, Florida. You know, I mean, I'm sure our curriculums, what you teach and what we teach, are probably much different. There's influences from the same people, but how you explain it will be different than me. That's okay. We're individuals. It's no different than doing a bow at the beginning of class. I tell the students, you're not going to look the same because you're not the same. You know the structure, the bow, put your fist here, open hands, steps this way, step back that way. The steps are the same, but how they look, how they express it is their own. Right. And that's the same with JKD in every school. You express it as your own. But you also have to learn as an instructor that what works for you doesn't work for everyone else. You know, so when you teach, you have to teach from outside of what you enjoy sometimes, or what you like, or what you think works.
Yeah. Is that a good thing?
I think it's a great thing. I think it's a great thing because we can become stagnant in martial arts if we want. You know, you imagine if I teach the same curriculum for 4 weeks and I just repeat it for 2 years. Are you going to enjoy coming to that class? You're going to get it now. You're going to do really great.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're going to look great at that small block that I've given you. But if we, like, what we try to do is have a curriculum that we teach from, that we will test from, but on the outside, we're throwing in these little things also with it. And we know you're getting the exposure. And over time, it will show.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of it. I'm not bound by anything. Jeet Kune Do is a wonderful thing. There are concepts that you can apply to whatever art. I'm not bound by being heavy in one art over another.
But your brother is bound, isn't he? I could tell.
He's the ugly one.
Right. Oh, by the way, guys, Aubrey Lee Grow is saying hello to you.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Lee.
Hey, Lee, that's a good man. I can't wait till the virus is over so we can get back to training together privately. He's
Right.
awesome.
Instructor under guru. Hey.
And I'll throw a Semper Fi to him.
Yeah.
All right. So, but Shawn, you had said, you know, when Sifu Burton, Sutton Shawn, when Sifu Burton put this post up, the 3 martial art thing, and then he said, I'm going to need help. Let's say essentially getting Jeet Kune Do back on this list, right? And you said, well, I'm here to help you. So what was an idea that you had that, because you guys are aware, for example, that Inside Kung Fu built its reputation off JKD and FMA, right?
Yes.
Okay. So what do we do to get back to that level? Or should we even want to get back to that level?
Well, again, you know, sorry.
You're good.
Answer that.
No, go.
Do you bother yourself with constantly having to try to just, you know, throw the name out constantly, or fight for people to understand JKD, or just open up a facility, call it JKD, teach JKD, and people will learn? And I think that will come about. You know, maybe what it is, more schools are just, because of MMA, saying, you know, there's a separation. I have a boxing coach, I have a kicking coach, I have a grappling coach. Well, where's JKD in there? Maybe they're just using terms that are a little bit more watered down because people understand those terms, and it brings people in. You know what I mean? Versus if I tell an MMA fighter, we used to train fighters. If I told an MMA fighter, and I would try to explain JKD to them and let them know, this is JKD, this is what you're doing, they could have cared less.
Right.
Am I kicking? Am I punching? Am I grappling? You know?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, and it's like terminology. How many terms are in Filipino martial arts? How many dialogues are there in the Filipino language? You know, but I can sit in class and not maybe have to make people so much test on the terminology, but I just repeat myself. Keep repeating. After 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, they get tired of hearing what I'm saying. Well, then you got it. You know, so I think it's an influence sometimes in an indirect way that would do that. It doesn't always have to be direct. Give him a shot.
Yeah, and yeah, I agree with that completely. And you know, I still do coach MMA fighters, and when my MMA fighters are there, JKD is what they hear. Except for one fight, they said JKO. And I was like, can we make a more defined D? But whatever. They say JKD, and I'm not making it a requirement, but I try to. I'm very discerning about who I coach. I have a lot of people that come to me and talk about competing, and I'm not interested in just anybody. I'm not the type of person who's just going to throw as many people into the cage as possible, because if they go in, I think of them as a representation of not only me, not only the school, not only Guru Burton, but also JKD.
Yeah.
Right. So I think if I'm, again, through an MMA lens, that's a way to differentiate ourselves if we're trying to get to the point where they understand us as a fighting art. The other thing is, you know, I work with a couple police officers right now. I'd like to do more, like way more. You know, I myself was in the military. These guys are both firefighters, heroes in my opinion. I would like to work more closely with, people like in security forces, things like that, because that's what we have to offer is huge for those types of professions. Or like a bouncer, if you're a bouncer and you're getting by on the fact that you're gigantic, I mean, think about it. Somebody's going to come along that knows a little bit more than you. So you might as well be training so you can do your job more efficiently. So I think those kind of things would help us establish ourselves again, I guess, if we have to. It's kind of ridiculous to say that, but as fighters as well as martial artists, this works for fighting. That's what we're practicing. We're not knitting out here, we're learning to fight, and we're learning to defend ourselves and defend our loved ones. So
I think I hear you saying, well, maybe we should focus more on stuff that is necessary and important versus stuff that's entertaining and in your face every weekend because there's a pay-per-view show.
Yeah, I didn't know I was saying that, but maybe I am.
That's why I said I think I hear. All right. Yeah. I mean, because there is definitely the entertainment aspect. And if it's in your face all the time, right? That's why everybody knows the term MMA. That's why everybody knows the term mixed martial arts. That's why everybody knows BJJ. Everybody knows Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, because you hear about it over and over and over again. Mm-hmm. In JKD, what do we have? It's just the name. Don't fuss over it. So it's almost like we were instructed to not even mention the bloody thing.
That's a great point.
Yeah, you don't put the boat on your back after crossing the boat.
Right? Which is good for Bruce Lee. He was Bruce Lee, right? I got to make a living off my name. I can't make a living off Bruce Lee's name. Mm-hmm. But the thing that I have in common with Bruce Lee is Jeet Kune Do. Mm-hmm. Yes. So that's the only thing I can talk about. You see? So my tell me what you think of this. My contention is that a lot of us misinterpreted what he said. Jeet Kune Do, it's just a name. Don't fuss over it. I think he meant don't fuss over the name Jeet Kune Do, but do fuss over the art.
I would agree with that. I mean, I think we have a responsibility, as instructors in JKD. Again, like we said, we're going to come here to Premier Martial Arts to continue our lineage in this area of Southwest Ohio.
Right.
A bigger picture than that is beyond us, and that is people like Guru Asano, Sijo Bruce Lee. I think we have that responsibility to let people know what JKD is about, But it's not cut and dry.
Yeah. Well, no. Right. It's like you said. The way I do things here in Florida is going to be different.
Absolutely. That's what it should be, right?
Yes and no.
Your interpretation of the material.
Yeah. See, yes, because that's the truth. No, because if it wasn't that way, we could push it further, faster.
And I would agree with you. And, but there are things that we've learned. I guarantee you there are things that you've learned from Guru Asano as we have as well, and we could do them. We could do them the same way. I mean, we could probably name easy a handful of things that you've learned from him. That whether it's the Chennai figure 4 takedown to an arm bars. Some of the sets that were put together. There's things like that. It's cut and dry. It is. It's material we learned by him a certain way. What's been great about him is he doesn't influence you what you do at your academy. He tells you can teach what you want. You can call number 1, number 5, number 6, number 10. He gives you a lot of freedom as an instructor to be able to do that, which it's amazing, that he has just that mentality, you know?
Okay. Your brother hasn't said anything in like 30 minutes.
This is the opposite, by the way.
It really is.
Well, I'm glad I brought this out in you. Give me an example. Like Shawn, give me an example of what John just said, where Sifu Nasano says you can make number 1, number 5, or whatever. Tell me about something that you got, either from Inasano directly or from Sifu Reed indirectly, and then you turned it around in some in your own way. Can you think of something?
I would say the influence I got from Guru definitely bleeds over into when other arts were introduced. Like John said earlier, when we started, we did Shooto. We did shoot wrestling, and then slowly, and we met the Machado, Master John Jack Machado in 1999. He came out and did a seminar at our school. And it was either, I can't remember if his student Gabriel, at the time it was his student Eddie Bravo. And at the time, Eddie Bravo was a purple belt. And it was that long ago. And then back then, you know, we were learning, like in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, you know, you monkey grip when you grab. But before that, we just grab the wrist however we want it. You know, so we just take the shoot wrestling and intertwine it into the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and find that mesh. Like, for example, shoot flow number 1 has the telephone locks in it, right? There's 4 telephone locks in the first shoot flow. And we may not learn that from Master Machado. He may show us differently, or we haven't seen it, but we can intertwine that Shooto inside that Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Does that answer that? Okay. Just the intertwining of what you're about to do. So with.
Hey, let me ask you something since you brought it up. Why didn't the Shooto take off? The first competition predated UFC 1. Why didn't the Shooto take off, in your opinion?
I know why.
Go ahead.
I think, well, number one of the reasons that Shooto didn't take off, I'll just start with the most apparent. It's UFC 1. One of the most prominent shoot wrestlers, which was Ken Shamrock, lost in the main event to Hoist Gracie, and it's as simple as that. I think the other thing is the difference between a hook and a shoot, which people – so shoot wrestling and Shooto is also related to pro wrestling, right? We all know that, right? Catch wrestling is pretty much the Western version of Shooto, and it's related to professional wrestling. So there's hooks and shoots in shoot wrestling and Shooto in general. And everybody knows that, right? Everybody knows that sometimes you go out into the fight and you know who's going to win. And sometimes you go out and they really, really fight. And you can tell because there's like the entertainment shows. There's some organizations that are like professional wrestling. And then there's some that are like MMA, like Shooto, the actual the company Shooto that did fights. Those were, I'm pretty sure those were all real. I think all Shooto, the organization, was all real, I think. Yeah. But then again, you know, there's some
the stuff that Paulson competed in.
Yeah, that was definitely real. You can tell.
Yeah, I think with that too, a lot of it is, man, with the UFC being, it's also how it was marketed, you know. I mean, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu came in and these guys were going to competitions just ripping through people. And, you know, where did, and I got to watch what I say because I'm not going to I don't want to disrespect any art at all. Make that very clear for anyone listening that hears this, but it's what did Shooto do to market itself in the United States, you know?
Right.
And I've heard different reasons why or whatever that is, but I think it's a big marketing thing too. I mean, yeah, the Gracies come in, the Machados come in, and they were going to these tournaments and just destroying people. Yeah. And then, like Shawn said, UFC came out, and all you heard was Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, man.
Yeah.
They tore it up there too, so I think that really helped. And where here you had, for example, Eric Paulson, Sifu Eric Paulson, who's absolutely amazing. That he wasn't fighting the United States; he was going to Japan and fighting, you know, and out of the country and fighting. So I think that's a big part of the marketing of it, you know, how it's.
Yeah. Well, see, you just hit a proverbial nail right on the head. Nobody in JKD is a good marketer.
Yeah.
right? I mean, for like on a grand scale, right? Now we might be, those of us who have studied it, we might be good marketers for our own schools, but for the art, nobody has cracked that code as yet. But that's what Sutton Shawn is going to take care of, right?
I got it.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask you this too, because John, you alluded to it when you said beyond what you guys are doing, there's a broader picture. But I want to ask you about the broader picture for what you guys are doing right now. Where is this going?
Go ahead. You go.
Well, as any school, I think expansion is what we would like. But also what's really important to me, like where we're going is very similar to where we are, you know, and it's expanded and we're touching more lives than we are now, which would be great.
Yeah.
And what's really important to me, and I'm sure you guys will agree, is what are the students going to get out of it? And that's where this partnership was a no-brainer for me, because I feel like, you know, with the although we kind of go into the same lineage, you know, we have kind of two branches of the same lineage that are now going to the student. So, you know, just like when you have kids, you want your kid to do better than you did, to be able to take the torch farther than you could take it. You know, I have a son, and that's what I want. I want him to take the torch farther than I did. And that's what I want for our students too, for them to take the torch farther. And that's the expansion that I'm looking for personally.
Yeah, and I have to agree with Shawn on that, man. Our job, like I was saying earlier, is we know what we want out of this. You know, we want to give back to the community, and we want to grow. We know what we want to do. We know what we want to teach. We've had excellent instructors that we've been mentioning, and we want to take everything that we have there, and we just want to hand it out to people and just give it to them and help them grow and get better. And we know we can do that. Yeah, when we got together to talk about this, and we were on the same page immediately. Right. Shawn knew he could trust us. We knew we could trust him. And it's interesting if you explain this to people, what our relationship is. Like, hold on a second, you guys, he does this, you do that. You don't have your own school. You're together. It's almost like like you're saying earlier, explaining JKD. It's like, how do you explain it? You know. Yeah. So,
it's an admirable thing that you guys are doing. And you know how right after Roger Bannister cracked the 4-minute mile, everybody started doing it.
Yes.
What if you guys start a trend?
Hey, all right.
I think
we're in the same town, and so instead of trying to, what if we just come together and make it a better package? You might be onto something there, guys.
And you guys can send your royalty checks to Premier Shooting and Training.
Right. You know, even during the times of COVID, where we're at with the virus, and there's a lot of martial arts schools that are struggling. So, you know, I mean, what if this did give two individuals an idea to come together and they reopen? Wouldn't that be great?
Precisely.
It would be awesome.
Precisely.
You know?
Yeah. You know, and it goes right back to what y'all have been saying over the past 68 minutes. It's about what you can, by doing what you do, you give out to people.
Absolutely.
And you never know how it is you might be influencing people. See, and this is the thing, right? Sometimes instructors are too stubborn to learn from other instructors, right? So I ripped you guys off last night. Last night, my entire 90-minute class was on kick delivery systems. Because I was doing the research and I saw that you guys had trained in the Savate and what have you. So we spent 90 minutes looking at kick delivery systems, differentiating between Junfan delivery system, Muay Thai delivery system, and Boxe Française delivery system.
That's awesome.
Great.
That is awesome.
All right. Okay. So Sutton Shawn, let's finish up with this. You brought it up. Tell me about, talk to me about the non-martial art aspects of your lives. You just mentioned the little one.
Yes.
So I want people to know that we're not JKD nerds. We're like full-fledged human beings.
Yes. I'm both, but yeah. What specifically do you want to know? I have a wife.
I mean, whatever you're willing to share.
Oh, sure. Literally anything. I'm an open book. Yeah, I have a wife and a son. I live 4 minutes from the gym.
Oh man.
Yeah, I actually moved closer to the gym when I was looking for a new house, and I was like, how close is that one to the gym? Nah, it's not good enough. No, 4 minutes, that's almost close enough. But yeah, I also am a software engineer. That's my secret identity, I guess, my not so secret identity. I'm also a software engineer. And yeah, what else do you want to know?
No, it's just, you know, because sometimes I think that we end up focusing way too much on the martial art aspect of what it is that we do, and we kind of forget, you know, right? So like one of the things that's happened in my life because of COVID, you know, my parents, our parents passed away over the past 2 years. And so every month, my brothers and sisters and I, we get on Zoom, right? And we talk to each other because now it's just us, right?
Awesome.
And so, you know, it's the humanity aspect of this Jeet Kune Do thing. It's wrapped into it. So I thought, you know, I don't know too much about what these guys do outside of martial arts. So that's where I got the idea, right? To ask you to just tell a little bit about, you know, who you are and what you do when you're not JKDing.
I will also tell you a fun fact about myself. I know so much about Batman, it's embarrassing. Seriously. I don't mean just a little bit. I know a lot about Batman. I know all the types, all the different identities Batman. I know a lot about Batman. I have since I was a little kid.
You would fit right into my group.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God. Oh
Yeah.
my God. I keep trying to tell my students, look, the only superhero for me is the Phantom.
Oh, Phantom's so good. Yeah, he actually crossed over with Batman in like the 60s, I believe.
That was a test, John.
Yeah. Also, the Shadow, also in the same, I think in the same year, also did a crossover because they were doing radio personalities. I'm gonna stop.
All right. So you guys are firefighters at the same station?
No, we were about 21 years ago or so, and then he ended up going to one department, and I went to another department. And it's hard not to talk about JKD when I talk about my personal life because personally, like the firefighting and all that stuff, all that success came through my instructors, and I have to thank Charles Reed for that because he's the one that introduced me into martial arts.
Right.
Just teach you how to treat people and how to live and learn how to deal with different types of people to help them grow. Right. And I do it at my job as a firefighter. I teach there sometimes like hose deployment stuff or engineering stuff. I'm running the pumps and things like that, and I find myself using the same type of tactics as I would teaching on the mat.
Yes.
So
yes.
JKD, outside of martial arts, it forms who you are. You're
yes.
your instructors. We have someone like Guru Nasana, who's the most amazing man in the world, and Master John Jack Machado, another amazing man. Professor Slim Mosley. You learn from these guys that they're just good people. You like to be around them and hear them talk. Like Professor. I mean, I would never do it, but you could punch the guy in the face and 2 seconds later, he's like, just move on. He's just a very forgiving person, and you learn all these good qualities from these high-end instructors that we all strive to be like. And it's like, wow, man, I may not be the best physical side of the martial arts and what I do, but if I can be a good person, I teach my kids that, look, like my daughter today was frustrated because she was losing in a game of basketball with her brother, and she argued with him. And I said, Lillian, You could be out there upset, whatever you want to do, but that doesn't help anything. When that basketball game is over and your time is over in the game, no one's going to remember the game, but they're going to remember how you treated them. You know, that's exactly what I told my daughter today.
Mm-hmm.
That's because of martial arts, you know. You take care of people. We met people when we start this business back up, a guy saying how much we influence them. A guy that just left our school, Jeff Kern, went to Florida. He was listening. And Jeff is listening. He was complimenting. He's like, man, you touched my life. You know, you made me a better person and all these things. I'm like, wow, I did that to you. You know, and that's, to me, the most rewarding part of the martial arts.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean by giving back to people. As you treat people well, at the end, no one's going to care how hard I kicked, because I don't kick like I did 20 years ago. I'm 44. But what they will remember throughout those years of me doing martial arts is how did I treat them.
Right.
Yeah.
See, what I love about what you just said there is that it can also apply to our interactions as instructors.
Mm-hmm.
You know, yeah. Okay, well, that's a high bar. I don't know if this guy can say anything quite that profound.
He probably can't.
I'll say the most important thing. I started in martial arts first.
So you're his senior.
Oh yeah, let's rub that in. Yeah, I'm married. I have a 16-year-old daughter, 18-year-old son. Been in the fire service since 1997. I work a full-time job as a firefighter. I'm a lieutenant there and also a paramedic. And I work a part-time job on the side close to where I live, and also a lieutenant there, firefighter, paramedic. Again, since 1997. So, and I wouldn't change a thing.
Well, thank all three of you for your service to the country and the community.
Thank you.
And all right, well, okay, so best place to find you would be at Premiere, or to get in touch with you. What would be the best thing?
Well, we have the same website, so it's shootpremiere.com. You can go there. You can reach all of us. They're Meyer Martial Arts on Facebook, on Instagram too. I think it's Meyer Martial Arts 513. And then we're JKD Unlimited Cincinnati on Facebook, JKDU Cincinnati on Instagram.
Hey, I'm going to give you a test.
Yeah. Me?
If I had put on the postcard JKD Unlimited CVG, would you know what that was?
I would, because I fly out of CVG when I used to fly, I guess.
Okay, but why is it CVG?
Oh, that's a great question. What does that stand for? I feel like you guys know better.
I can make something up.
Charles Reed would know.
He would know. Yeah, he would know.
It's bad because I also work for GE Aviation, so I probably should know.
I think it's because the airport used to be called Covington Field.
That makes way more sense. It's in Kentucky. A lot of people don't know that. They're like, I'm flying into Cincinnati. I'm like, you're really flying into Kentucky, but you know, whatever.
Yeah. Okay. See, I just pulled that from 1979 airline training.
No, you're telling us stuff about our.
All right, gentlemen, this has been a blast and a half. I'm really glad that, I wish I could take credit for it, but actually Sutton Shawn was the one who said, hey, you've got to see this experiment that we're running here. And I wish you all the success possible. This is a really great thing that you're doing.
Thank you. And also thank you to our instructors as well. Thank you, Guru Burton Richardson, Guru Dan Asano, Professor Slim Osley, Master John Jack Machado.
Shawn Jon.
Man, we're just going to keep going.
Yeah. We'll be here for another hour if we do that.
For sure. And thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Dwight.
Thank you.
My pleasure. You're great guys, and it warms my old heart to see this kind of thing happening. It really does. Gives me great hope for the future of Jeet Kune Do. So you guys take care.
Yeah, thank you too, sir.
Thank you.
All righty.
We'll see you.
Okay, that's it for today. Feel free to share, like, and comment. Ask questions if you want. I'll ask the guys to take a look at the comments and see if there's anything they need to reply to. Follow me on Twitter at Dwight Woods and on Instagram at Dwight D. Woods, at ilovejeetkundo.com. The Quick Skill Series Volume 1 is available. Volume 2 will be produced by the end of 2020. Next Friday, August 14th, on the Jeet Kune Do Dialogues, we will be with Sifu Randy of Valor Jeet Kune Do. And I'm pretty sure that'll be at our regular 6 p.m. time. So I will see some of you then. Hopefully I'll see some of you next Wednesday on the I Love Jeet Kune Do broadcast. Until then, everybody enjoy your weekend. I hope the ravages of COVID are dying down where you are. This is Dwight Woods, the Jeet Kune Do Rebel, signing off. Take care now. Talk soon.
I don't know if you can see us, Dwight, but I cannot see you.
What about now?
Yes, we
What
can hear
about
you.
now?
Here.
Oh, I see how this works. I see how this works. He only shows up when everybody else has done all the prerequisite stuff. And then he shows up to take the glory. I get it. I get it. Well, you guys look very professional and what have you. All right, so how does everything sound to you?
Sounds really good. We're
Yeah.
not getting any feedback. I have this mic. Is this picking up?
Yeah,
It is? Okay.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you sound good.
Can we turn the volume up a little with him?
Yeah, if there's, we can definitely turn his volume up. Sorry. You're on a television, so you're much bigger than last time.
All right. So now, well, let me test mic levels for everybody. So everybody take a turn and say something.
Hello.
Not bad.
John Meyer, Cincinnati, Ohio.
All right. Well, you might need to get closer because yours sounds a little bit different. Yeah. Right.
John Meyer, Cincinnati, Ohio.
Yeah. That works. That works. All right. So, okay. So does anybody have any questions for me about anything before we get the show on the road, so to speak?
No, not necessarily. Did you have a specific agenda or that you want to speak of?
Yeah, using no agenda as agenda. That's my motto.
Hey, you can't do that.
I understand.
Yeah. That's my motto. And then the other part of my motto is using no single interview. Wait, no, right. Using no single interview as point of view.
I like you.
That's my thing. Okay, so everything looks good, and we are 10 minutes early.
Okay.
So do you want to piss everybody off and start like in 2 minutes or so?
You're the boss.
Are you guys hydrated and what have you?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I don't require that you turn your cell phones off or any of that nonsense, right? That's not my thing. All right. Let me go wash my face and turn the AC up. And so I will. So this is the test broadcast. So I will stop this. Then I'll come back on connected to the actual stream.
Okay.
Right. So I think if you guys stay connected, it'll just bring you back in. But if not, then you'll have to click the link all over again.
Okay.
All right.
Got it.
Okay. All right. So I'll see you in a few minutes.
Thank you, sir.
All righty. Cool.
Thank you.